What is up, B's and G's? This is Yoli, and this is going to be a long video. I apologize. This is taking forever for me to record. I've taken like maybe 20 takes of this video, of this commentary at least. Jeez, I just want this to be done. But it's a good story. I think it's a really good story. I think, anyways. But yeah, it's a story about how I came to realize pretty much one of the biggest fears in my life. And yeah, but before I tell the story, actually, I want to give you guys a clue as to what the story could be about in a form of a disclaimer, and that is I'm not promoting or condoning the use of illegal or even legal substances for that matter. They're potentially extremely dangerous, and it's not worth the risk. Again, I'm not condoning or promoting the use of illegal or even legal substances. I can't stress that enough. That being said, shrooms. Me and my friend decided to do shrooms, and it wasn't just like, shrooms are here, let's do them. It was kind of like, there was a lot of lead up. There was a lot of discussion, debate, at least internally in my head. And I don't know about my friend, but for me, it was definitely a little bit of a debate of whether or not to do them, because I've always been interested in like hallucinogenics in general, but shrooms and like LSD, I've always wanted to kind of try them, but I've just been a pussy about it, you know. Like I'm just like, oh god, I don't know if I want it. Like I don't know if I really want to do them. And maybe pussy isn't the right word, because it like reasonably conscious probably, or cautious rather, not conscious, cautious. It would probably be a better word, a better way to describe it. But yeah, like I've always kind of been interested because of, for lack of a better word, spiritual properties of the shrooms and other hallucinogenics. But yeah, me and my friend finally decided, yeah, let's do this. Let's do shrooms. So my friend takes 4 grams. I take 3. And as soon as we take them, we go to the lounge in our house at our university residence. And we're kind of just sitting there, and it's maybe like 10 minutes. Like, it was not a lot of time. And we just watch people play video games in the lounge for like 10 minutes. And then my friend and his boyfriend comes in and asks us if we want to go to this water, like it's a waterfall. Well, first of all, there's 2 waterfalls. It's a lake, obviously, kind of. There's like a waterfall or river or whatever. There's a body of water, and there's like a portage trail. And the portage trail would take like about 2 hours to clear. So it's a pretty good sized one. And I was like, yeah, let's go. I really wanted to go. And my friend was like, yeah, okay, let's go. Like, I think we called him Tim. We're going to call the other guy who did shrooms with me Tim. I don't know if I already said that, because I recorded his commentary so many times. I don't know if I've mentioned that already. But yeah, me and Tim, my friend and his boyfriend, and our other friend decide to all go. Me and my friend are the only one on shrooms. Me and Tim are the only ones on shrooms, and they're all sober. And they know we're on shrooms though. And we jump in my friend's my friend's boring, his friend's Escalade, and we jump in. And first of all, we look like douches because we're a bunch of university kids. We all look like hipsters in our flannels and shit. And we're just driving around in an Escalade, and we just look like douchebags. Like, I'm just realizing that now. But yeah, we're just driving around in this white Escalade, and like it shrooms. First of all, you get intoxicated when you're taking shrooms. It's not like there's another drug that doesn't. DMT. When you take DMT, I'm pretty, like, I haven't taken DMT, but from what I've heard, when you do DMT, you're yourself, but you're experiencing chaos, like, or not chaos, but like you're experiencing whatever the drug is showing you. For shrooms, it's kind of like weed or alcohol. You're intoxicated. Like when you drink alcohol, you smoke weed, you're not yourself. You're intoxicated. And with shrooms, it's very much the same thing. It's not as strong as alcohol or weed, like the intoxication part. Like I kind of felt like a background noise kind of, and I fucking found everything hilarious. My friend started like actually, in that respect, in terms of giggling and whatnot, it might be stronger than like alcohol and weed. But yeah, I was we were sitting in the back of the Escalade, and we're waiting in a drive-through for Tim Hortons, and my friend's just like, he quotes Cheech and Chong. He says, "Hey, how's the driving?" "Oh, I think we're parked, dude," or something like that. However, I just butchered the joke, but I heard Cheech and Chong do it in the movie, and I just start dying. Everyone in the car starts dying, but I'm laughing so hard. Me and Tim are dying of laughter. I'm getting like belly laughs, like my abs are getting a workout from this laughter. I'm like, holy crap! I've never laughed this hard. And like, I haven't laughed this hard in so long, and it felt so freaking good to just be able to laugh and just. It was so good for that like little second we were laughing there, and it was just hilarious. Everything he did on the ride there, because he was feeling it a lot sooner than I was. In the car, for the most part, all I saw was layering, and the car ride maybe took like 45, maybe half an hour actually, to get there. But just for the record, like my time. Like intervals type of thing might be really freaking off, because when you're on shrooms, your perception of time is just terrible. Yeah, maybe half an hour car ride to this little town where the waterfall is and whatnot, and just throughout the whole car ride, I was just dying of laughter. My friend was crying of laughter. He cried 7 times at least during that day. Same with me. I cried so many times of laughter that day, and it was so funny. But yeah, in the car anyways, the only thing I really felt was that slight intoxicated feeling that I was talking about earlier, and layering in my vision. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're close to a window right now and you look out, and if you see something, like, that's one layer, and then the thing behind that's another layer, and the thing behind that's another layer, and everything just looks like a layer on top of a layer. So it looks like a 3D image, but flat. And that's how it kind of looked, but it wasn't really strong. It's like I had to, like, look and focus to make that appear in my vision. And yeah, like, that's all I really felt. I thought that was pretty cool. And like I've seen that before, like on weed or well, not drunk, but I've definitely seen that like on weed. So like it wasn't really shocking. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is insane. Like it wasn't scary at all for me. So I was pretty much handling that part really well. And so we're just driving, and we finally get there. And when we get there, we don't kind of know where to go. So like I felt so lazy. Like I felt incredibly lazy. I just want to sit in the car. I didn't want to get out of the car when we stopped. But we stopped, and eventually I had to. So I was just like, okay, let's get out of the car. We get out of the car, and holy shit, my eyes, like there's snow everywhere because it's still winter at this point. Snow everywhere, and it's so bright, and my eyes are like burning. I'm like, holy shit, like my eyes were so Asian-y. Like, I swear to God, like it was ridiculous. It was so funny. It was pretty funny. It was so bright. And yeah, we don't really know where to go. We're kind of just walking around in the parking lot, and eventually we see this snowmobile trail, and my friend is like, yeah, this is gonna be a good idea. And we get back in the Escalade, and we drive to the snowmobile track, and we go on it. And like as soon as we go on a snowmobile track, it like we hit a hump, and it like we sink like a foot, maybe no, like half a foot, and like we're stuck basically. The car's stuck, and we have to start. We get out, and we're rocking it, we're pushing it out, and it was the most stressful thing ever because I saw animal shit, and it wasn't deer shit because I've seen deer shit, but it wasn't deer shit, and I'm like, holy shit, this is a predator. This is predatorial shit, and I'm like, oh my god, this is scary. So I'm like, we gotta push this caddy out of this goddamn like we gotta push it over this hump as soon as possible because there's like some sort of predator nearby. And I was freaking out. My friend Tim, who did shrooms with me, was having a great time. He's pushing the caddy, and he's like, I've got this caddy on my back right now. I got this caddy on my back, and I'm fucking giving her, bud. And he's so like, he goes, full out Canadian. He's like, I'm fucking giving her, bud. And he pushes. We finally get it over, and like my friend's boyfriend just collapsed to his knees, and he's just like, holy shit, we just did that. And then Tim was just like, yeah, I had that caddy on my fucking back. And I'm like, I'm just like, let's get back in the caddy because there's a fucking predator. I just saw shit. Let's go. And then eventually we just go back to the parking lot, park the caddy, and we go and look at the waterfall. Like we find this little deck type thing, like a little wooden path, and we walk along it, and it kind of like goes over off like the cliff of the like it's kind of like a valley type thing, and the waterfall kind of goes in between it, and we're sitting at the top of it, and we're looking down at the waterfall, and we throw like a piece of snow, like a snowball or something, and it takes like 4 seconds, like 1, 2, 3, 4 to hit the bottom, and we're like, that's a far freaking job. And I'm looking at the waterfall, and it's kind of, it's like, it's frozen. First of all, it's like completely iced over. I have a picture of it actually. I might put it up right now if I remember. But yeah, it's like it's bubbling. Like it's not like really vibrant. Like it's not like insanely popping everywhere. But it's like, so part of it is like coming outwards a little bit and bending back, and I'm like, wow, that's weird. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing ever. And my friend was just like having a really good time. He was like running around and he's laughing, and he's just like, whoa, bud, and he's just like, oh, and he's like, he's tripping out. He's just having such a good time. It was so funny. Like he was just laughing, and his face was so red because like he was running around, he was out of breath, and it was so funny. Like he was feeling it. And yeah, we finally decide to look for this portage trail, and we have to cross the bridge, and we're crossing the bridge, and I don't know, like it was really weird, like looking out, because when you cross the bridge, you're really directly over the waterfall, and we looked out, and we could follow the path of the river with our eyes, and we're looking out there, and it just looks amazing. Like this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It was just a frozen waterfall. We're sitting on top of it basically, and this frozen river with what my friend called the alluvial fan at the end, which means that there's like a little piece of ice that's melted, and there's like a current in the river, and you can see it. And he says it like we're supposed to know what that is. We're like, what the fuck? But anyways, he's just like, yeah, look at that alluvial fan, and it's just gorgeous. It's just the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And we cross the bridge, we get to the other side, and we find the trail. We're walking along this trail, and for the most part, it's pretty silent. And we're walking, and we finally get to this part where it kind of goes into two paths, and you can choose if you want to take the like half-hour portage trail, or if you want to take the hour-and-a-half one. And we're like, it was only like, I think it was like 1-ish at this time. So we're like, yeah, let's do the hour-and-a-half one. So we take the right path, and we go, and immediately we have to drop like 30 feet. Like it's a pretty steep hill. I'm gonna say it was on like a 70-degree angle. Like it was pretty steep, and like we're basically sliding down. My friend's just like, just jibber bud, and he jumps on like he's skiing, and he just slides down, or snowboarding, and he just slides down like one swoop, one motion. It's hilarious. This was the guy Tim, who was on shrooms with me. He just goes straight down. It's hilarious. He's just like, yeah, man, give her. And I'm like, yeah, no. And I'm just like inching my way down, and we finally get to the bottom, and we're just walking this path, and it is fucking gorgeous. Like because it's so dense, like the forest we're in is so dense. This path is so dense with trees. There's just a little bit of snow on the ground. At some parts it was just littered with snow, but there's just a little bit of snow at this part. And like maybe like a centimeter, and the trees, they're so detailed to me right now. At the time, it was like they were. I could see each and every twig, and it just looked amazing. Everything looked so detailed, and so like the layering was still there, and I could just see layers upon layers and layers, and it was so freaking cool. And we're walking and we're walking, and we finally get to the end, or not the end, but we kind of get to like the point where it's gonna start looping around, and that's where the alluvial fan was that my friend mentioned. And we decided to take a little break because at this point it's been a little while, and we're all kind of a little tired. So we sit down. My friend just starts carving, I don't know, a piece of wood, because he's a forestry student. So he's just like, yep, carving it, making a knife or something. But it's funny, he's making a knife out of wood with a knife that he has in his hand. I'm like, why don't you just use the knife? But anyways, he's like kind of like just sitting down, and Tim, who's on shrooms, is like, he says the best thing ever. It's so Canadian, and it was so perfect in that moment. He says, when God made man and said, fucking give her, bud. And we just started dying. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard. And like, I can't even explain to you how hilarious we found that. And it was so perfect. It was so perfect for that moment. And like, I'm never gonna forget that quote. That's the quote of my fucking life now. God made man and said, fucking give her. Or just fucking give her, bud. That's the quote. And I was dying of laughter, and everyone else was dying. It was so funny. And we eventually decide to get back moving, and we keep going and going, and we notice that we're gonna have to start going uphill. So we're going uphill a little bit, and we go and we find the little waterfall, because there's two waterfalls here. There's the main one, and then there's a little tiny one that's maybe like 50 feet up, and it's pretty cool. Like, it's frozen too, and there's a kind of like a path that runs along the side of it, but it stops. And my friends are like, oh yeah, we just climb up there and we take the path across the waterfall. And I'm like, how about we just go around it like normal people? Because I did not want to walk on this waterfall, which was freaking moving around. It was like, it was doing the same thing the other waterfall was. And it was like, parts of it were like being pulled towards me and pushed away from me. And I was just like, yeah, let's not do that. And eventually we decided not to do that. We went around, and again, the trees were very detailed, and at this point the snow started changing colors for me. Like, it turned pink, and then it turned green. It turned like a light pink, and I was like, holy crap, that's really weird. And then it turned a light green, and it was, again, really freaking weird. And like, it was just weird to see like everything just turn pink, because there's snow everywhere at this point in the trail, because we're going higher up and there's less trees. And yeah, and we're walking, and my friend Tim is like 50 feet behind us, and we're like, I'm kind of worried about him because he's tripping. He took 4 grams. Like, he's tripping. That's it, right? And like, he's like, yo, the colors, like the oranges. I'm like, okay. And like, he's still like 50 feet behind us, and he looks like he's going through hell, man. Like, he's walking behind us. He has one arm that's like his shoulders is like, one shoulder's dropped, and he's like walking like he's a zombie. Like, he's just escaped the zombie apocalypse, actually. Like, he's walking like, holy shit. His mouth is open, like he's breathing out of his mouth, and it's like, he has one earbud in, and he's like limping almost. And I'm like, Tim, what the fuck are you doing back there? You're like 50 feet behind us. And he's like, fuck you, Josiah, you're green. I just died. It was hilarious. And I was like, okay, I can't argue with that, man. And then, yeah, we're everyone, again, is really tired because we're going uphill. And at this point, like, I'm still seeing just the really detailed trees. The snow went back to white. And we get to the top, or we get to a peak. There's multiple peaks, I guess, in this trail. And we got to one of them. And my friend decided to, like, he got on his knees, and he pulls out a dart, and he starts smoking a dart, cigarette, or bogey, or whatever you guys want to call it. We call them darts. He starts smoking a dart, and then Tim goes up and goes like, hey, and he says his name, could I borrow a dart, please, bud? And he's begging it. It's like, his facial expression looks so sad. And then my friend's just like, yeah, come here, Tim. And he gives him a dart, and Tim gets on his knees, and then my friend looks at him. He's like, what are you doing? He's just like, it just felt right, man. And he just starts smoking the dart. And he's looking out, and we're looking out into the distance, into the trees, and we're all them two are smoking darts, and like we're just looking out, and it's hilarious. Like they're just talking, and like the conversation is so funny, and we're all just looking out, and I'm looking at this tree, like that's like right in front of us, and again at this peak where it's a cliff, and there's a tree like kind of growing off the cliff and like growing straight up, and I can see it, and there's another one below it, and it's growing like the top of that tree is maybe like 2 feet under the top of the tree I'm looking at, and then like it just goes down and down and down and down, and it like just continue that pattern. And I'm looking at this tree, and I'm like, if I jump on this tree, I could totally just jump to the next one, 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 and jump all the way down to the bottom, and that'd be so badass. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, I could totally do this. And then my friend who gave Tim the cigarette was like, what are you looking at? And I'm like, this tree. Like I think if I jump on it, I could totally make it all the way down. And he's just like, yeah, but then how are you gonna make it all the way back up? I'm like, true. I just don't do it. Obviously, I'm not gonna jump on a tree. Like I wasn't ever gonna do it, but I was just like, that's possible. That's a possibility. Like I wasn't gonna do it, but I was just like, that's definitely something that could be done. And I was just like, okay. And eventually we get up, or they get up, and we continue our walk. And the snow turns pink again. And I'm like, oh my god. And we go all the way around. I'm trying to think of if anything else trippy happened. I don't think so. Again, it was just detailed. Like I didn't really have that much like strong of a trip, but it was more of the feeling. Anyways, but yeah, we're walking back, and I see the waterfall again. Like as we make our way back, and I can see the waterfall doing that thing that I said, but the whole waterfall was moving towards me at this time, and like it wasn't like points like moving towards me. It was the whole thing just pushing itself towards me, and it looked like it was like a running waterfall that was like frozen. It was kind of weird to explain, and also it turned pink, again light pink, and the cliff wall that we stood on from the other side I was looking at. And like it looked so tiny, the little patio thing we were standing on, the little wood deck, it looked minuscule. I was just like, holy crap, what the hell, how did we stand on that? And it was a little weird. But yeah, we crossed a bridge, and I looked back onto the alluvial fan, and it felt a lot closer, like because I want to say it's because we've been there. Like I was like, yeah, I know that place, I was there, I conquered that place. And when we get back into Caddy, I was like, yeah, we just did something. Like we just like accomplished this trail where we accomplished something. We've done something impressive. Like it felt so rewarding to like cross that bridge and get back into the caddy. Like we're like, yeah, we did this. We've done this just process. I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like we did something really worthwhile, and it was such a good feeling. And yeah, we're driving back, and we decide not to go back to our university town. We decide to stay in the town with the waterfall for a little bit longer, and we go to like this little diner, and or actually before the diner, we go into this like I guess it's like a tourist shop, and there is knickknacks and things everywhere. There's so much freaking stimulus in this shop, and like I can't even explain it. The guy who owned it was creepy as fuck. Like he had a bowl cut, a mustache, and I swear he was wearing a wig. And like this bowl cut was a wig. I'm almost positive. And my friend's boyfriend got kind of like trapped into talking to him, and like they were just talking the whole time. I'm like, oh, I feel sorry for you, man. Like that guy seems so boring, and he kept looking at me, and I felt like he was like he knew, like he knew I was on shrooms, and I'm just like, oh my god, he knows. And then my friend finds a book on one of his shelves, and it says Mushrooms of Ontario or something like that, and he's just like, hey Josiah, look at this. And I'm like, and the owner of the shop looks at me, and I'm like, dude, put it away. He knows. And I was like, oh my god. And then but yeah, we started doing like little laps of the store, me Tim, and my friends, except for the one who's talking, and we're doing laps of the store, and we maybe did like 10 laps of this store, just like there's so many little tiny things. We're doing all these laps, and I could not for the life of you like put out a layout. Like I could not draw a layout of that store at all. I don't even know how it's laid out, and neither does Tim. Like we have no idea how that store was organized. I don't remember like anything specific in there at all. Like I think there's magnets. There's some sort of weird little rock magnets. I think that's it. That's all I remember. But there was all these little things. I just remember that. And there was a lot of like Canadian things like maple syrup. Oh, that's my phone. So I'm gonna pause this and we're gonna get right back to it in a second. But yeah, sorry about that. My friend in the store was like really tripping out. He was just following us, and he's just like, "Oh, what's this?" And he's like, I remember him touching things, and he was just kind of like, "Wow, that's weird," and like just really going Canadian at times, like really bringing out the accent. It was just really funny. And the owner of the shop, asked him to sign the guest book. And then he starts writing, and the way he explains it is perfect. Like he's writing it, and his name has an L at the end of it, and the way he's writing his name, the letters in his name are coming off the page, and he's like L, and it starts going off the lines and dragging down and like dipping downwards into like a waterfall. His L's, and he just puts like 7 L's in his name, and it was hilarious. I know, it was just so funny the way he signed his name, and the guys are looking at him like he's retarded. It was hilarious. But yeah, we eventually leave, and we go to this diner, and the diner was pretty cool. It was a little tiny thing, and it was like small town, so like everyone knew each other, and like we sat down, we got like a little table, and me and Tim sat on one side, and then my other friend, his boyfriend, and my other friend sat on the other side, and the waitress comes up and she's like, "Would you like anything to drink?" And I'm looking at the menu and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I'm like, "Can I get a chicken wrap?" And then she's just like, "Do you want anything to drink?" And I'm like, "Oh, water." And then yeah, my friend Tim is looking at the menu, and he's just like, his eyes are wide, and he's like his posture's like really good, and he's like looking at it, and then like he said that the letters were coming off the page. That didn't happen to me. It was pretty normal for the most part. But yeah, like it was pretty cool. And yeah, I get the water, and the water is like, it tastes so good. Like, it was really good water. And we're just talking, and I look at my friend, the girl who's with us, and I'm looking at her, and her face starts like shuddering. Like it's how do I explain it? Do you know the shadow partner, or not shadow partner, but the shadow affected MapleStory, the NX thing? What is it called? Shadow or something like that? That NX effect. It was doing that, but it was closer. Like it wasn't dragging as far. It was really close, and I was like, holy crap! And like she'd blink, and like her eyes would be closed and open at the same time, and I'd be like, holy crap. And I was like, I'm staring at you because you're tripping me out and you're shuddering. And she's just like, oh my god, keep staring. I was like, this is crazy. And it was the weirdest thing ever. And eventually we just started talking about like normal stuff, and that was probably the worst part of the trip, I guess, if you want to call it that. It was the worst part at all, like by far. I was there. We started talking about like just normal mundane stuff, like, oh yeah, this summer I'm thinking about doing this, and I'm looking for a job, and blah blah blah. It's gonna be interesting working with this person, or what class you're taking. And I felt so scared. Like I was sitting in the diner in this booth, trapped in by Tim, and trapped in by the table, and trapped in by the window. And I just felt like vulnerable. I felt really like vulnerable. I just felt like I was going to be attacked or something. And I looked outside, and like it was gloomy outside. It looked like it was about to rain, and I was just like, oh my god, like what's about to happen? And I didn't see anything, and that's what worried me the most. I didn't see anything. I'm like, what's happening? Like when's the next wave? Because like it kind of like stuff kind of happens in waves. When on shrooms, I guess. At least that's what my friends told me. And I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Like, oh my god. But I eventually just was like, okay, you know what? I got to just calm down. And I got myself to calm down eventually. The waitress comes back and she's like, do you want anything to eat now? And then my friend's like, oh, he wants a chicken wrap. And I'm like, no, I want this cheeseburger. So you get this. I just got a cheeseburger, and I take one bite. And this cheeseburger is the best fucking cheeseburger in the world. But I took one bite, and it took like 40. It felt like 40 minutes to eat this one bite. Like, it felt like forever. And I'm like, yo, Tim, eat this cheeseburger, man. I can't finish it. It's gonna take too long. And I'm like, it's so good. And like, he's eating it, and he's just like, what the hell, man? This is taking forever. And I'm like, yeah, I can't eat it, man. I can't do it. And like, we're just laughing. My friend's dying. Tim is dying of laughter. He's like, oh, he's doing all these like weird sounds, and we're like just dying of laughter. And like this woman in an electric wheelchair is like driving on up, I guess, rolling on up. And my friend's just like, fucking give her bud, like in the store. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, you dick. And then she comes in, and then we're like everyone's quiet. And but my friend is dying of laughter, like he can't stop laughing. And he's not laughing at her. He just can't stop laughing in general. And like it's just so funny. He couldn't stop laughing. His face was just red, and his like head was on the table. He's just like, this is too much, man. This is too much. He's looking at the page. He's like, the letters are coming off the menu. But yeah, I took another bite of that cheeseburger, which it took like another century to chew. And but it tasted so freaking good. And then eventually we get back in the Escalade. Oh no, we stand outside, and Tim and my other friend are smoking a dart while my friend's boyfriend goes to the LCBO and see if they have any Paps, because that's what the forestry kids drink, and that's what the Canadians drink, and yeah, we're kind of like we're waiting around, and again I feel this little like I'm gonna be attacked, but then I see my friend's face, and she's doing the shuddering. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's happening right now. Nothing's bad happening. It's just that. So I was like, oh, you're shuddering again. And I look at my other friend, and he's shuddering. I'm like, yes, nothing bad's happening. And it felt so good. And I'm like, yeah, like we're just like okay. And then we get like there wasn't any Paps in that LCBO. LCBO is the Liquor Control Bureau of Ontario, and that's like the only place you can get alcohol in Ontario. Like in Canada, it's pretty like strictly regulated alcohol. Like you can only get it in the beer store. Literally, it's called the beer store and the LCBO. That's the only place we can get alcohol. You can't get it in convenience stores or anything like that. And yeah, this one LCBO is pretty shitty. It was in a small town, obviously. So yeah, they didn't have any PBR. So kind of disappointed. And we get home, or we haven't gotten home yet. We're driving in the. And that's my phone again, and I apologize. And okay, so sorry about that again. We're driving back in the Escalade, and I remembered I brought like, you know, those green like sports Gatorade bottles, like that like the professional athletes have, that you just squeeze and like it squirts really far. That sounded funny, but yeah, I had one of those, and it was filled with or not even filled. It was halfway full of 7-Up, and I drink it, and it tastes so delicious. This is the best 7-Up. My friend used that word to describe the taste. He's like, this is delicious, man. It was hilarious. And we were just drinking 7-Up, and this bottle wouldn't freaking empty. Like, it was so much 7-Up in this half freaking bottle of 7-Up. It took forever to kill, and like I think we were still drinking it when we got home. Like it was insane. Like, just didn't want to finish. And yeah, we're in the car, and we're just like cracking jokes, and I'm dying. I'm having belly laughs again, and I'm crying. Like, I can't breathe. Like, it's hard to breathe. I'm laughing so hard, and like, I'm crying, and I'm like, my eyes are tearing up. I'm like, yeah, this is the best. This is the best event ever. And we're driving, and I see the house we looked at. Me and my other friends, we looked at that we could have potentially rented for next year, and I see it, and I'm just like, yeah, we're not living there. And I couldn't just like, no, we're not gonna live there. I have a feeling we're not gonna live there. Like, I just knew we're not, and we're not next year. And again, like, jokes started coming out, and I just started dying of laughter, and it was just like, I can't even, like, it was just the funniest thing. Like, the car ride, it was the best thing ever. And we're driving, and we're back in town, and we go we get to the campus of the university, and as soon as we're on campus, I'm just like, we did some things today, but it's over now. Like, that's it. This is gonna be it's just gonna be a normal day now. And my friend Tim got hit hard by that feeling. Like, he was just like, yeah, like he's just like, yeah, I'm coming down. And we're like, okay. And then we kind of like, we weren't like having a bad trip. Like, we were pretty much coming down off the shrooms at this point. And but I still wanted to like stretch it out. Like, I was just like he wanted to like mope out, but I was still kind of feeling it. Like, I was definitely coming down, but I was still feeling it for some degree. Like, I was sitting down in the lounge, and I could feel like my legs were up on the table, and they're like kind of like arced, kind of. I don't know how to like, or they were just on the table, and I could feel like a chunk of like my calf just fall off, and I was just like, whoa, what the hell was that? And that was a weird feeling. And yeah, and what else? We played Rock Band, Beatles Rock Band, which is really trippy, but because we were coming down already, like, it really wasn't that bad, and like I didn't really think it was that trippy at all. But it was cool, I guess. But anyways, we're like, I think my friend wanted to go buy weed, so we go to the dealer's house, and we go in, and he's like, hey guys, do you guys want to try dabs? And we're like, sure. And I did a dab for the first time, and that just not a good idea. Don't, like, my friends smoke weed when they're on shrooms, but holy crap, does it ever just fucking put you on your ass. Well, and it was the first time I ever did a dab, and well, the only time I've ever did a dab. And yeah, it was really strong. Like, I took one hit of the dab, I took one dab, and my eyes just instant red, first of all. And like, that's what scared me about my friend. Tim did it, and he just sat down. He was baked already. I'm like, wow, these are strong. My other friend, who smokes an insane amount of weed, he did one dab, and his eyes were red, and he was freaking high. And I was just like, what the fuck is this magic? And then he's just like, the dealer looks at me, and he's just like, do you want to try, bud? And I'm like, I'm tempted. And then Tim's just like, give her, bud. And I'm like, fuck, okay. Like, I gave her, and I did it, and I was just insta red. I felt like I was gonna throw up. Like, I took that hit was really, like, it was really strong, and I felt like I was gonna throw up immediately. And I was just like coughing. I was just like, holy shit. And I was just like, I just have to concentrate on not throwing up, and I won't throw up. And I didn't throw up. And the dealer said something funny. Like, it has nothing to do with the story, but he just said something funny. He's just like, yeah, I love my job. I sell happiness to people. And I'm like, that's the chillest person ever. Anyways, yeah, like, we did the dab, and everyone else was smoking. I was pretty toasty. I was toasted at that point. Like, I didn't want to do anything. And we'd also like amplified as a shroom. So like, some of it, a little bit of it came back. Like, walls were moving, and like the carpet in the lounge started moving and like waving, I guess. But other than that, like, that was pretty much it. And I remember just sitting in the lounge thinking like, wow, like sobering up. I'm like thinking like, wow, like, I'm never like ever gonna experience that level of happiness ever again in my life. Like, that was the fucking greatest time I've ever had in my life. And it was at that moment where I realized what my biggest fucking fear was. And it was living a normal, boring life, just going to work, coming home, and dying. Like, I was just like, fuck, I'm not gonna live that life. I'm never gonna be that normal. I'm not gonna be my parents. That was it. Like, I didn't want to just go to work, come home, and just freak out about little shit that doesn't matter at all. Like, you know what your parents do, like when you don't push in a chair, or some stupid, like, you leave a fork or something somewhere, and then they're like, why is this here? Why is the chair? Why didn't you push it in the chair all the way? You see the chair, just push it in. I'm like, why does it matter? It doesn't, like, what are you trying to impress someone? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand why you're freaking out. Like, just look at what you're freaking out about, and realize how stupid it is. And that really just put things in perspective for me. I was just like, wow, if I end up living a normal life, it's gonna suck so much, and I'm not gonna live a normal life. I'm gonna do shit. I'm gonna go on fucking adventures. I'm gonna go when friends are asking like, hey, do you want to go out to this party? I'm always gonna say yes. I'm never gonna say no to stuff. I'm just gonna keep going and being adventurous and doing stuff that's gonna make my life interesting. Like the worst decisions make for the best stories, and I think this is one of those stories. But yeah, that's it. That's what I learned from that whole experience, is that if I want to live a fucking awesome life full of adventure and just wicked stories and good times and belly laughs, and you have to go and do stuff, man. Like, you have to go and get out of your house. You gotta stop playing MapleStory for a little bit. You gotta stop playing League of Legends for a little bit. Go out and actually live life, and like go climb a mountain. Go on a portage trail. Like, go do stuff. I'm not saying do them on shrooms or do them on drugs, but just go do stuff. Like, and that's something I took away from that, and I'm never gonna forget that. It changed my life, and it definitely has. Like, I'm definitely a more adventurous person ever since that trail, and it definitely changed my life. I think for the better. But yeah, that's it. That is it. That's a 40-minute story, and I apologize that it was so long. But I think it was a good one, and I think the end result is important, and I think you guys should take away from it what you will, but I really would suggest taking away the end part. Don't take away the shrooms part. Like, don't go like, oh yeah, I want to do shrooms now. This sounds awesome. Like, you don't need to. I just told you what's gonna happen, because like there are some dangerous things that could happen if you're on shrooms. So just be aware of all that and whatnot. But yeah, be adventurous and do shit. Stop playing MapleStory. Or stop playing so much. Like, you can play MapleStory, just don't do it so much. And it also put into perspective like people who don't do anything. Like, I'm not saying like people who don't go to parties and people who don't like go and do things. I mean, like, yeah, that could just not be your scene. Like, you could just genuinely not have a good time drinking, and you could genuinely not have a good time at parties. But you should go out and do shit. Like, don't just like be like, no, I don't like going out on like, you know, like hikes, and I don't like going to parties. I just like to stay in my house, and, you know, I just like to sit around and, like, you know, watch TV, maybe chill and like talk with friends and whatnot. Like, yeah, but that's fucking boring. Everyone does that. Like, you're gonna live a shitty, boring. I mean, like, whatever, you live your life, but it just that is my biggest fear, living one of those lives. And I'm convinced at this point that my life isn't gonna be that way. It's gonna be full of pretty awesome stories that are gonna die with me, and I'm excited for that. And I appreciate you guys watching this. Thank you.